Quiet men don't fear numbers. They respect them. They don't look at money as a threat to their pride. They look at it as information. A number doesn't insult you. It doesn't judge your worth. It simply tells the truth about your habits. Loud men avoid numbers because numbers don't respond to excuses. You can talk over people. You can impress a room. But a spreadsheet doesn't care how confident you sound. Quiet men understand something early. Money chaos never starts with poverty. It starts with avoidance. Avoiding bank balances. Avoiding expenses. Avoiding patterns that repeat every month. They don't track money to feel powerful. They track it to stay grounded. Because discipline doesn't begin with control. It begins with clarity. When a man refuses to look at his numbers, he is not being carefree. He is being careless, with his future, with his family, with the pressure he quietly passes on to others. Quiet men sit with discomfort. They open statements. They review spending, not to punish themselves, but to remove uncertainty. Numbers calm disciplined men. Because once something is visible, it becomes manageable. This video is not about getting rich. It's about staying stable. It's about the difference between men who manage pressure and men who run from it. Quiet discipline starts here, with the courage to look. Tracking money is often misunderstood. Many men think it means obsession, control, fear. But quiet men know better. They don't track money because they are anxious. They track it because they are responsible. Leadership at home is not loud direction. It is silent awareness. A man who knows his numbers knows where pressure will appear before it arrives. He knows which months are tight, which habits leak energy, which decisions can wait, and which cannot. That knowledge creates calm. When money is tracked, conversations change. There is less guessing, less tension, less emotional decision-making at the worst possible moments. Tracking does not make a man smaller. It makes him steadier. Because when a man understands his finances, he does not panic when something breaks. He does not raise his voice when bills arrive. He does not shift stress onto his wife or children. He absorbs pressure quietly and distributes stability instead. This is not about perfection. Quiet men don't track every cent flawlessly. They track patterns. Patterns reveal truth. Truth allows correction. Correction prevents collapse. A man who avoids tracking forces his family to feel uncertainty. A man who tracks money carries that weight himself. That is leadership. Not control, not obsession, just presence. Loud men don't avoid numbers because they are stupid. They avoid them because numbers expose something uncomfortable. Numbers remove stories. They strip away explanations. They leave only patterns. And patterns don't care about intent. A man can mean well and still overspend. He can work hard and still leak money every month. He can love his family and still put them under pressure. Numbers reveal that gap. For many men, that gap feels like failure. So instead of facing it, they raise their voice. They change the subject. They joke. They distract themselves. Avoidance becomes a coping mechanism. Loudness often isn't confidence. It's defense. When a man hasn't looked at his numbers in months, every unexpected expense feels like an attack. Every question feels like criticism. Every conversation feels threatening. So he reacts. And he promises instead of plans. He hopes instead of prepares. He talks about future success instead of present structure. Quiet men notice this difference early. They see that emotional reactions around money usually come from ignorance, not scarcity. The man who knows his numbers rarely panics. The man who avoids them often explodes, not because the problem is bigger, but because it is unknown. Avoidance creates imagination. Imagination magnifies fear. A simple bill becomes a crisis. A small dip becomes disaster. A conversation becomes conflict. Quiet discipline interrupts this cycle. Looking at numbers does not remove pressure, it localizes it, and localized pressure can be carried. This is why quiet men choose clarity over comfort. They would rather feel brief discomfort alone than prolonged tension inside their home. Avoidance is loud, awareness is quiet, and only one of them lasts. Quiet men don't track money in complicated ways. They don't need fancy systems. They need consistency. They pick a simple rhythm, and they stay with it. Once a week, once every 2 weeks. A quiet review, no drama. They look at what came in. They look at what went out. They notice what keeps repeating. That's it. They are not searching for perfection. They are searching for signals. Signals tell them when to slow down, when to hold back, when to adjust before pressure builds. This habit creates calm because it removes surprise. Surprises are what create tension in a home, not money itself, but the suddenness of it. When a man already knows his numbers, nothing feels sudden. A repair is inconvenient, not catastrophic. A slow month is manageable, not frightening. A decision is delayed, not emotional. Tracking gives him time, and time gives him options. Quiet men also understand something important. Tracking is private. It's not a performance. It's not a family meeting every night. It's not control over others. It's self-management. They carry the awareness quietly so their home can stay light. Their children don't feel money anxiety because it never spills into the room. Their partner feels steadiness because decisions are grounded. Calm is not luck. It is built. And it is built by men who are willing to look regularly instead of reacting occasionally. This is how quiet discipline protects a home, not by earning more, but by leaking less energy into panic. Quiet men understand balance. They track money, but they don't live inside the numbers. They know when to look and when to step away. Obsession feels tight. Tracking feels steady. Obsession checks constantly, searching for reassurance. Tracking checks regularly, looking for direction. A disciplined man does not open his accounts 10 times a day. He doesn't react to every fluctuation. He doesn't let numbers dictate his mood. He sets boundaries, a time to review, a time to decide, and then he returns to living. This matters because families feel emotional states, not spreadsheets. A man who is obsessed with money brings tension into the room. Even if nothing is said, the atmosphere changes. Quiet men protect the emotional climate of their home. They deal with numbers privately so presence can stay calm publicly. Tracking is a tool, not an identity. It exists to support life, not consume it. That's why quiet men focus on direction, not precision. They ask simple questions. Is this month healthier than last? Are we leaking less stress? Are decisions becoming calmer? If the answers improve, the system is working. Perfection is unnecessary. Consistency is enough. When tracking becomes obsessive, it loses its purpose. The goal is not to control every outcome. The goal is to reduce uncertainty. Quiet discipline respects this line. Look, adjust, then move on. That rhythm keeps money in its place and leadership where it belongs. Quiet men don't fear numbers. They respect them. Because respect creates stability, and stability creates peace. Tracking money is not about control. It is about care. Care for your future, care for your family, care for the unseen weight that leadership carries. A man who looks at his numbers regularly does not need to raise his voice later. He does not need dramatic corrections. He makes small adjustments, early. That is quiet strength. When money is respected, it stops controlling the mood of a home. Conversations soften. Decisions slow down. Trust has room to breathe. You don't need complex systems. You don't need perfect discipline. You only need the courage to look consistently. Loud men avoid numbers and hope pressure will resolve itself. Quiet men look, adjust, and move forward. And not because they are fearless, but because they are responsible. And responsibility is calm. This is not about being rich. It's about being steady when life applies pressure. Quiet discipline doesn't show off. It shows up. And it starts with respect for the numbers, for the truth they reveal, and for the home you are protecting.